All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Creative Cosplay Corner. I am Cable Rose, your host and Uber fan, all things cosplay. Today, we're coming again from the East Coast. I've got SP Riley, otherwise known as Sean. We're going to get Sean on the show, introduce him, and we're going to get right into it because he already knows where we're going with this conversation. So, Sean, come on the show, introduce yourself, and just tell us about yourself.
How's it going? I'm Sean. I live in Rhode Island. I've been in Rhode Island all my life. There's not much to me. I mean, there's a bunch of nerdy stuff behind me, and that's why I'm here, I guess. I mean,
No, hey, it's tough. It's also tough to kind of talk about yourself. But let's do this. Let me ask the question then. So we're going to show some of your cosplay, but how did you get into cosplay?
So I've always been a very big Batman fan, and back in 1997, I was Batman for Halloween, and my mom made the Batsuit out of a sweatsuit, and I always make the joke that the cape was made out of like a trash bag, but it was stiffer than a trash bag. It was like a piece of plastic. Thing was like didn't flow at all, and it was funny to see, and I remember it, and it was a good memory, and I didn't know what eye black was back then either, so I mean. That wasn't the greatest, but hey, but I fast forward to that, and probably around 2007, 2008, for Halloween again, I wanted to make my own Batman costume, and I can't sew, so I have no knowledge of that, but my mother can. So I went to my mom, and I kind of drew up a design, went online, grabbed some pictures from here and there and everywhere, and kind of pieced together, took some inspiration from different things, and funny enough, the first version of my Batsuit was, the first couple versions of my Batsuit were made out of Nike compression, and I thought I looked great. I thought I was like the greatest looking Batman there was, and I had no idea what cosplay was. It was just for Halloween, and
Okay.
I would go out every Halloween after that as Batman, and I'd walk around my neighborhood and say hi to kids and mess with teenagers and mess with adults. And some people loved it. Some people thought, this guy is weird. He thinks he's Batman. But funny enough, the first bat emblem that I ended up putting on a Batsuit was very similar to this one, the Batfleck one, and that was years before that was even a thing. So that was 2007. You're looking at the only Batman in mainstream was Christian Bale. So
Yep.
His bat didn't look anything like this. So I thought it was kind of funny, and eventually I created a new shirt version because at that time I was a little heavier, and then I lost weight, and I'm back to being heavier again. But whatever. That's why they make muscle suits. So I ended up going back to like a Hush kind of a look.
Yep.
And my dad kind of looked at me. He's like, "You have all these, like, you have this Batman costume. Why don't you do cosplay? You need a." He was like, "You need a hobby. You're not doing anything. Go do cosplay." So I didn't know what it was. And I looked it up, and in 2014, I started doing more and more, looking into it, and I found out about Rhode Island Comic-Con, and that was my first con I've ever been to, and that was actually the only con I've ever been to since 2014. I've never been to any other con. So I went, and I actually, at the time before I went to Rhode Island, I had a Rhode Island Comic-Con. I had like the cheaper Batman cowl that has like the Velcro in the back, and it was the Batman Returns one, and it was weird shaped, and because they all come in like these plastic things from China, right? So they're all like squished and all messed
Mangled.
up. So
Yep.
I looked at my mom and I was like, I can't go to a con looking like this. This is ridiculous. So she ended up, for my birthday, it was an early birthday present because my birthday's in December. She ended up buying me my first cowl, which I still have today. And it's one of my favorites, actually. It fits me so well, and it's probably one of the most comfortable ones I have.
Okay.
So,
well, Sean, let's do it. I want to do exactly what you were talking about. So let's look at what you were talking about, the history of, right? Over my shoulder here, you've got 1997, Sean. You're looking at your Halloween. You put it on your shirt. Your mom helped with you said trash bag or the piece of plastic that's barely flowing back there, right? And then this version's a much more adapted version here. So we're going to go with beginning to maybe a closer to what we have now in reality for you.
Yeah.
And we'll look at some of your cowls. We'll go back and look at some of the fits and the cowls and stuff. I want to start with this picture here. It's a good edit. Yeah, probably a green screen or a green screen edit, I imagine.
So actually, I found an app that you can remove the background from pictures, and I said, "All right, this is kind of cool." So this was actually made recently. The picture, anyway.
Okay.
The original picture was not taken recently. It was probably a year or two ago now. A friend of mine who cosplays as Master Chief. That's actually the original picture.
Right, that's the original picture, and then you took out that fence, and you went back into your dark alley, and you did the back
Yep,
app, right?
absolutely. And I was having way too much fun with that app that day, and I was making a ton of them. I put myself on top of buildings in Providence, and I mean, there's a few other Batman cosplayers around this area, and I'm friends with, pretty good friends, I'd say, with that guy right there, Battlefall River. He's a pretty awesome guy. He's helped me a lot too. Now I can't remember where I was going with this. Crap.
Well, we're just talking about the evolution of your characters, your edits, your pictures, the overall. Again, I love that we'll call it your origin story. That one Halloween all the way up through, and then like you said, you were a little bit older in 07, and you started putting together those costumes and working on them.
And actually, so like in that picture, that's actually a different muscle suit. So the first one you showed was the Affleck muscle suit. That was my first muscle suit. It's polyfill. It's from China. It was off of AliExpress, but I really wanted to upgrade from the spandex, all that stuff. And then I bought the Affleck one, and then I think a year later I bought the one that you just showed, and I pieced together. I bought it for a animated series, Batman the Animated Series. So that's what that picture is there. And the other picture with Battlefall River is actually the way I switch out. It's the same suit, so I switch out the emblems with magnets. That's how they're held on there. And that suit there is actually supposed to be a recreation with a muscle suit of my first spandex suit. It's the same cowl. That's that first cowl that I had. I always for some reason liked the black belt. I don't know why. That's actually that one that you just scrolled through was actually my first cowl, that one there.
Yep.
I was on my way to a birthday party that day. That's the old spandex suit. I think that's with the Hush logo.
I got to tell you, Sean, your iterations and your evolution of your Batman. So I have done very few cosplay, and I would consider myself a fan of cosplay. I've only done a few, though, and I've got a couple now on my mind. I've got an Inspector Gadget one. I've got a few others. But just recently, and for whatever reason, I jumped back into Dark Knight Returns, but I'm talking like Frank Miller, where he's old and he's got the gray. I want to gray this out. I want to get but I'm big, but I'm not Batman big. So I really appreciate your showing us some of the different types. You said one was compression, one was foam. This one here looks like a padding or
that's polyfill as well.
That's a polyfill. So I appreciate that because go ahead.
Both muscle suits I have are both polyfill from AliExpress. I actually have one coming in hopefully soon by Will Crawlers of Unmasked Studio. He's a pretty well-known muscle suit maker in the Batman superhero kind of
genre, right? The realm.
Genre, I guess. And it's actually a Batfleck one. So it's a pretty damn close replica, if not exactly the same, as the one they made at Ironhead Studios for the movie.
Wow.
And the reason I went with that one is I love Michael Keaton. I know I might get some heat for this. I love Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton's one of my favorites. No, George Clooney and Val Kilmer are not my favorites. But
no,
I always held Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck at the same level almost, because I will admit I was one of the people when they said Ben Affleck's the next Batman. I was like, Ben Affleck's the next terrible Daredevil? What? And then I remember going to see Batman versus Superman, and my jaw just dropped because we had never seen a gray and black comic accurate suit in the movies, and I thought it was amazing. I've always liked the more brutal, darker Batman. When I used to put my suit on and I was going out on Halloween and stuff, I was never, hey there, citizens, how you doing? No, it was always, like I said, at the time it was Christian Bale, so I kind of would try to do Kevin Conroy a little bit, and then
you gave him the Batman.
yeah, I tried to do Kevin Conroy a little bit, and then at the end of the night, my voice would get so tired that it would just slip into, where were the other drugs going? Like, and like sometimes I'd slip into like the Toronto Batman, which is like in the middle. I don't know if you ever seen that, like the kind of goofy yet lighthearted Christian Bale, because I didn't want to scare the crap out of little kids. And when I go to parties too, I deepen my voice and I try to sound as much as I can like Kevin Conroy. Eventually, I might try to incorporate a voice changer in the Affleck suit, and I've been trying to kind of work on the Affleck voice without the voice changer, but it's a
So Sean, I appreciate you sharing with us, one, like you said, the different types of camera or film versions. I've always liked Christian Bale. I liked his trilogy. I thought that was a good one. But that's also, I liked the director. I thought the director was good for Christopher Nolan's. I'm a big Keaton guy. That's actually when I got into Batman, was 88 would have been when I started collecting. I think you and I got a couple years difference in age, but 88 was when I got into it, and my whole room was Batman. My very first wallet when I was 10 years old was a Batman Velcroed wallet. And then all the way up to Affleck. And I thought Affleck, and I'm not really big on when they announce who he or she's going to be for a role. I don't ever really kind of spin with it. I just wait till I see. I mean, everybody hated the idea of Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker, and then look what we get. I mean, again, but that goes to part for the writers, to the director, to the portrayal. I mean, that goes to more than just who's going to be in the suit. But yes, Affleck was pretty badass, and I would love to have seen the DC universe keep where they were going, and I know they tore it all apart. I get that, and I get that. But Affleck was badass. But there's two more pictures I want to talk about. This one here is probably one of the cons, and you get to get up on the car, and it says, "Why so serious?" You know, tell me about this one here.
I'm sorry, you cut out for a second there. What did you say?
That's okay. This looks like probably a con, one of the Rhode Island cons.
Rhode Island Comic-Con. It was probably 2017, I think. 2017, 2018. It might have been, so last 2018. That's when that one was.
Hey, it's a pretty kick-ass setup. The car itself, but then you up on top, you've got your boot on the hood, and you just got that. And again, so there's something I want to talk about here in just a second. After we get through this picture, you and a fantastic Joker. I don't know where this was.
That was also Rhode Island Comic-Con. That was actually this past year, 2019, and that's one of my good friends, Caleb, who is Psychotic Freak Cosplay, I believe.
Okay.
He's done many iterations of the Joker, and the way I met him actually is a funny story. So back in 2000, that was 2019, 2018, 2017, I was actually still in the spandex suit. And I was there, I was talking to somebody, and I saw he was dressed as Jared Leto's Joker. So I saw him out of the corner of my eye, and he was just kind of staring at me for a little bit. And I was like, why is this guy staring at me? What the heck? So I finished talking to this person, whoever I was talking to, and he walks up to me, and he just stares at me for a second, and then he hugged me. And I was like, oh, okay. And I just embraced the hug, and then that was it. And then he kind of like, I don't think we talked or anything like that. I had no idea who he was. And then fast forward to the next year, whatever it was, 2017, 2018. And I have other cosplays besides Batman. I do mostly Batman, and that's what I'm known mostly for, I think.
Sure.
And I think it's because I share such a connection with the character. I've always loved it, but I also have done Green Arrow from the CW show, which I still have. I just haven't brought it out in a long time. I actually just finished doing an Anakin Skywalker from episode 3.
Okay.
So I have that one sitting in that magical box behind me.
Yeah.
Um, so I was dressed as Arrow the year after, and it was the last day of the con again. It was like Sunday. And I was walking around and I saw him again. I didn't know it was him. And he was dressed as kind of like a comic book Joker, like animated series comic book, in an orange jumpsuit with handcuffs on. And it's amazing what he can do with his face, as weird as that sounds.
Nope.
He can manipulate his face to smile like the Joker and all that stuff. And he was there's actually three of us. There's a Harley Quinn as well, which we all were a group of friends, and a bunch of things happened, and I'm still friends with both of them, but they don't talk, whatever.
Yeah.
And so she was dressed as Raven, and he was dressed as the Joker, and I think they were looking at like Lego minifigures, and I was looking, just happened to be looking because I wanted to try to collect like Lego minifigures of everything that I cosplayed. And turns out I'm not doing that. I'm doing Pops instead. Surprise. So I'm talking to both of them. I'm like, yeah, I was here last year. I was dressed as Batman. I was like, this is a new one. But it was a really good Jared Leto Joker here. He's kind of shorter, like much shorter, but he had the moves, he had the mannerisms, he could talk like him. It was amazing. And he hugged me. And
you knew.
he looked at me and he stared at me and he goes, that was me. I was like, that was me? That was you? That was me. So then we've been friends since then, and we hung out the whole con the year after, and same thing this year. It's really the only time I get to see those two people. So with crazy business lives and now coronavirus and
right. It's a
all the craziness going on in the world. So
it is crazy, but I want to go back. There was a moment you said there. So I like origin stories and I love the cosplay community. So what we have here, I just like it. Some dude eyeballed you, walked up creepily and gave you a hug, and you were like, cool, man. All right. And that was it. And that was good to go. And then a year later, it happened to be another run-in, that moment of. But the world that is when you go into a con, whether you're in character or not, whether you're got a booth or not, whether you're just there to enjoy it, the community is really great. I think it's a great example of what that's like when you walk into a con, that it's just an acceptance of everybody. There are two things that I like. One, you said his iterations of the way he manipulates and becomes that Joker. A lot of people put a lot of that into their cosplay. And I love the fact that you've got an Affleck, you've got a Keaton, you've got different versions that you want to get into too for certain reasons and certain purposes as well. I think that's awesome. But I gotta talk about one thing, and I wanted to connect you with this, Sean, you and I. So as I want to do a Dark Knight, I want to do an older, bigger kind of Dark Knight Batman with the beard, the grayed out, and all that. But what really truly makes a Batman, and I know this is silly, but it's this right here. Is this. Not everybody has the chin. Not everybody has the stoic look, because I smile too damn much. I think my Batman's going to be off because I smile too much. Batman doesn't smile that much. And so I'm going to tell you, your versions and your chin, I know that sounds weird, your chin is a dead-on Batman chin. So it's perfect for you to take on this role.
So I've had a lot of people, friends of mine, tell me that I kind of look. So I have one friend who says I look like chubby Affleck.
Don't you love friends? Friends are brutally honest, right?
Yeah. So before this, I used to actually, before quarantine and all that, even though I've been working through the whole thing and I'm essential.
Nice.
I used to have my sides of my head really short. It used to be kind of like a G-Eazy almost looking haircut.
Yep.
And then as my hair grew out during this time, I kind of sat there and the chubby Affleck thing kept going through my head. And a couple other people have also said I kind of look like Affleck, especially in the suit. And that's the main reason why I decided the first muscle suit that I bought, the polyfill one that you saw and you had a picture of, is why I went with that one. But even before that, I bought it because I liked Affleck. So at that point, I bought it because I liked Affleck. And then when I put it on and everything, people would tell me I looked like Affleck. I mean, I'm a lot shorter. I'm only 5'7", and Affleck's like 6'3", but I'm also not as massively large as him. But then when I was wearing it and people would see me, they're like, "Wow, you kind of look like Affleck." And then later on, I was getting like from my friends saying, even outside of the thing, you kind of look like Affleck. So now my hair kind of emulates him too. So
Yep. You're gonna roll that out, and hey, I'm
and
gonna take that on
I'm supposed to shave for work, but they don't really care that much. So
right now. Yeah.
I constantly walk around with 5 o'clock shadow. But I don't want to grow it a full beard because it's annoying anyway to me.
Yep. Oh
So
yeah.
I go with the 5 o'clock shadow, and
Hey, it's a perfect chin, perfect wrap into, like you said, pulling off that Affleck. I like him. Again, the storylines, Man of Steel, and the connection to the DCU, and then how he pulls in his BS, Batman versus Superman BVS.
yes,
Yeah, I gotta get that one rolled out.
yeah,
And then his individual, just the way he portrays Batman, Justice League, and everything. I thought it was kick ass. So for you to take that on, I mean, I think it's pretty badass. And then, like you said too, going to the cons and showing up, and then walking into the different Joker iterations and different time
absolutely.
frames of Jokers.
And I've always been someone who I never really wanted to like. I love out of the Nolan trilogy. My favorite bat suit is the Batman Begins one. I was not a huge fan of the Dark Knight suit.
Okay.
But I love the Batman Begins one, and I thought it looked very comic book like, but all black. But I always was a huge fan of the gray and black, and for years I was like, as you saw in that picture, I had the yellow oval as a kid, but when I made the new one, I said, no, I want to go straight gray and black, no yellow oval. For years, I was like, no yellow oval, no yellow oval, no yellow oval. And then eventually I was like, you know what? I'm feeling nostalgic.
I
want to do
one
in the animated series suit. So that's when I bought that other second muscle suit, and I got the yellow oval and everything like that. And eventually I might try to replace that suit as well with one from Unmasked Studio, or Will Crothers. I may be pronouncing his last name wrong, so sorry, Will. If you're gonna watch this, I'm sorry, Will. But I really always loved kind of like the look of Hush, and I did always really like the gray and black, and then I went back into the yellow. And if I always said if I did any all black suit, it would be Keaton's suit, and not from Returns, from '89, because the suits are different.
Yep, they sure are.
Yeah, the suits are different.
Yep. No, so I do. I'm a big Hush fan. Hush imagery, it just was epic. And then when Batfleck came out and they pulled him into that, man, he totally pulled off that black and gray. Man, it was such an awesome portrayal, such an awesome suit as well. But Sean, I got to tell you, man, it's been fun. You have a certain desire and passion for what you do in the realm of Batman, and we appreciate you sharing it with us and being on the show, being able to come on here and kind of give us your origin story and then walk us through, why you do what you do and how you get to do. Have you been outside of and I know it's only been about 4 or 5 years, but have you been outside of the Rhode Island con kind of circuit, or is that really where you focus on right now?
I want to go to other cons. The thing is expense. So the next closest, well, I mean, that's not true. I was going to say the next closest con is Boston, but it's not really true because they have like a smaller con put on by the same people, Altered Reality, who puts on Rhode Island Comic Con. They put one on in this past year. It was in Swansea, Massachusetts, which is actually 2 seconds down the road from my house.
Nice.
But I didn't end up going to that one. It's not as big, but a couple of people I knew went and everything like that. They also have ones in Connecticut at Foxwoods at the casinos and stuff like that. I'd like to go, but I'm the type of person where every year you could see Rhode Island Comic Con in one day. I go all 3 days just because I want to. Right? It's like my not, I don't want to say it's my Christmas because it's really not. It's the time where I go and I spend a bunch of unnecessary money on things that I probably don't really need, but. I would like to go to a different con. I'd love to eventually maybe be well known enough where cons invite me to go out there, and I don't know. I've always wanted to I'm not one to be in the kind of the same realm as Batman. I'm not one to really want to be in the spotlight, but
Sure.
if Khan said, "Hey, we want you to come down and want you to have a booth and all that," I wouldn't say no. I mean, I'd have to go and
Yeah.
get a bunch of prints made and all that stuff. But hey, it is what it
Well,
is. I mean,
I
I
think
think
that's
you definitely.
cool. Cool. Yeah, I think that's cool, Sean. Right? You, like you said, I don't want to be in the spotlight, but if people would like to have me a part of it, man, I absolutely would want to be a part of that. So I appreciate that. This is your platform. This is your show. Meaning, I'm just the host. Is there anything you want to tell an audience who's going to be watching this? Is there anything you want to say to the world of cosplay?
I mean, the world of cosplay. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know what to say.
That's
I mean,
okay. It's a broad question. It's always like kind of how
most
I
of the
ended up.
people, yeah, most of the people I've met are very accepting, and you got people that like me. I started out with like a crappy spandex suit, and I just evolved over time. And each person does their own thing. And there's a guy in my area. He's Cosplay Ray, and he makes all his cosplays and stuff out of foam by him, like himself, and everything like that. He has a mech Batman suit. He has Arkham Knight.
Yeah.
He has Cyborg. He's a really great guy. And he always says he cosplays his way, and it really resonates with me. And I encourage everybody to kind of listen to Ray in that sense, where everyone should cosplay their way. I mean, you have me. I love Ben Affleck's Batman, but I'm not 6'3", and however heavy Ben Affleck was, and you just I like I said, I have other cosplays, and I haven't brought them out in a while. I mean, Anakin I just did, so I haven't really. Anakin's been a coronavirus cosplay, so I haven't even debuted that on like TikTok or anything like that.
Good. So you've got something in the works, right? You got something in the shadows back there.
Yeah, I mean, Anakin's not so much in the shadows anymore. I've told a lot of people, and I've actually told a lot of people that I got the new Batsuit from Unmasked Studios too. But
Nice.
so in that sense, I guess I was too excited. I was like a kid on Christmas, like I bought the Batsuit. I've always wanted one, and eventually down the road, I'll probably replace the other Batsuit with yellow oval and the Hush looking suit with a better muscle suit from probably Unmasked Studios. I mean, he's a great guy, so. I love his work. But I encourage everyone to go out there and don't be ashamed. I mean, keep working on it. You have people that make all their cosplays. You have people that buy their cosplays. I am one of those people that I have no talent whatsoever in sewing or crafting or anything like that. But pick a character and kind of pick a character you feel close to. And with me, that was Batman. I mean, I went with Green Arrow because the way he was portrayed in the show was very close to Batman. And I actually, when I first started watching Arrow, I was like, yeah. And like the second episode, I was hooked. I was like, oh my God, this is cool. So that's why I went with that one. And Anakin, it's weird. I always pick like the very dark characters, but
nothing wrong with that, Sean. Nothing wrong with that.
I mean, I'm not like a really scary guy either. So, but I mean, when you're in the character, I used to before when I'd go out on Halloween, I'd literally watch like Batman videos and movies, and I just study the way he moved, the way he talked, everything. And I like threw myself into the character, and I know a couple of other people that do that as well. Like my friend Caleb the Joker, he dyes his hair green. That's his real hair, and it's dyed green.
Yep.
Currently, it's not, and I keep joking with him like, "Hey, what happened? What are you hurt or something? You're not crazy anymore, man? Like, Batman needs a Joker. Like, where are you, buddy?" But don't be discouraged if you don't look exactly like the person you're supposed to be cosplaying. I mean, I look nothing like Stephen Amell, and I went out there like dressed as Green Arrow. I look nothing like Hayden Christensen, and I made an Anakin costume.
Man, I tell you what, Sean, one, I appreciate your insight into that question and how that comes out. You said No, I was gonna say I got a buddy named Crazy Ray. You said Cosplay Ray. Who did you say?
Cosplay Ray. Yep.
Yeah, we'll make sure we give him the liner notes. I don't want to call him Crazy Ray because that's my buddy, but Cosplay Ray, I love it. Just cosplay your way. I think that's a great outlook on it. And like you said, whether you buy, whether you make, whether you have a lot of money or you don't have any money, go do it. Doesn't matter what you're looking at or looking for. Just enjoy yourself and have a good time. Cosplay your way. I really like that as a tag note for this episode. I think that's a really good outlook. And for you to take that on from your buddy and say, hey, it's exactly how I do it and why I do it the way I do. I think it's a perfect way to cosplay, man. I appreciate you being here today. I know we've been playing some phone tag, and I was glad to get you on the show and get you to be a part of this.
I'm glad to be here.
Yep, and Sean, I do. We'll make sure we get you tagged and put out, and we'll get you out into the cosplay world, and we'll share Sean S.P. Riley from the Rhode Island area, and we'll get him on there. But to everybody out into the Creative Cosplay Corner universe, we appreciate y'all being here, and we'll catch you guys on the flip side.